Fucking commercials.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for clicking on. It is it's Thursday night. It's 5:05 a.m. in the Middle East. Hi, Nancy. Hello, Pat Tolliver. Again, thank you all for clicking on. It's 5:05 in the Middle East, and I've got a few screens open here that I'm going to be monitoring throughout the course of the next few minutes. Um, we are possibly anticipating a some kind of action at dawn, and dawn will be around 5:35, 5:36, somewhere around there. And I'm going to see if I can't find a better uh, stream as far as restreaming it here. Um, and we're just going to monitor what happens at dawn because there was a warning that if Israel did not cease the war by dawn on Friday, which again is coming up here in about 30 minutes or so, then all of um, the axis of resistance would get involved. Now, does that mean they're going to attack at dawn? I don't know, but if they are, we're going to find out. At the very least, we'll find out some other things when we wake up in the morning, and we'll talk about those coming up. But before we get to the Middle East, I've got to play a conversation here. We're going to go down our Twitter scroll. This is, well, um, I'll just let it speak for itself. Those are drones you hear in the background from monitoring. I'll turn those off here in a second.
The Earth is flat. Where is the sun? It's 93 million miles away.
Oh, bombs.
The sun at any given time, and when you say the sun...
Hang on a second. I'm going to turn that off because that's going to be too distracting, especially if they're blowing things up. I'm not going to turn it off. I'm going to mute it momentarily. Hello, Guy Bassett. I just happened to look down there and see that you had joined. Appreciate you hopping on here. All right. We got it all turned up. And this guy, it starts out, if the earth is flat, where is the sun, is the question that is asked at a Flat Earth Society gathering.
If the Earth is flat, where is the sun? It's 93 million miles away.
Well, the sun at any given time, and when you say the sun, there is no the sun. Everybody has their own sun.
What do you mean?
Literally.
What do you mean literally?
Literally, everybody has their own sun. So there's a different sun for everybody.
What do you mean a different sun? I don't understand that. Like, you're saying that there's a different sun here in Las Vegas than there is in New York?
You're not looking at the same sun there, correct?
So how many suns are there?
As many people who are viewing it.
So every individual person has their own
That's
sun?
correct.
What?
That is correct. The sun's no more than 50 miles away at any given time. And it's
50, wait. But wait a second.
and
But airplanes go up in the sky.
That's right. And it's like a rainbow.
How come the sun doesn't get bigger when you're in an airplane?
The closer you move to it, the farther it moves from you. It's like a rainbow. And the sun isn't a thing.
This is gonna break me, man. This is gonna break me.
The sun is literally not a thing.
What? Wait a second.
No, it's not like a burning ball of gas or any of that bullshit.
What is it?
Yeah, it's
What is the sun then?
It's
What?
cold.
The sun is cold.
The sun is cold.
All right. So I just wanted you to see that, there are possibly opposite opinions out there than, and maybe some might deem wacko. I might be one of them. Okay, this is give me a good reason why women shouldn't fear this, and I found this very interesting. Algerian women in Okay, here are Syrian women in 2023, Iranian women in 1970, Iranian women in 2023, Afghan women in 1958, Afghan women in 2023, again, Iraqi women, and just something to think about. Okay, I'm going the wrong direction. I've started at the bottom and working my way up. And thanks to Sam Singe for that showing up in my feed. French Radio Europe says a couple from Moldavia have been arrested and were behind the painting of around 60 Star of Davids on buildings in Paris, and they were guided by a quote individual in Russia. Not exactly sure what to make of that. This is, I know what to make of this. This is troubling. So a little bit of a warning to everybody here. Let me adjust this. There. This is Hamas terrorist, and well, again, warning. What you're going to hear is not for children, and you might want to mute for 2 minutes and 11 seconds if you're sensitive to war material.
بعدين ضربنا ببيت جنبينا كان من الشباك ضربنا فيه وضربنا فتشنا بيت سمعنا صوت أولاد ولاد صغار في قلب إيش الملجأ. دخلنا على الملجأ.
ليش دخلوا الملجأ؟
أول شيء ما دخلناش على الملجأ ضربنا ما فيش شيء. قعدنا في الأوضة وكنا طمع وشربنا مية. قعدنا بعدين وقفنا سمعنا صوت صغار.
شو صوت سمعتوا؟
صوتنا تمتمت صغار واللي مش عارف شو دخلش البيت احنا.
تقدر سامعني عشان افهم؟
الآيات ولد صغار ولد صغير زي هيك.
كيف ايش سوي انت؟
ولد بعيط.
اوكي.
دخلت انا وطخ احمد او كمان دخلنا على الباب.
لحد ما؟
بعد ما بطلنا نسمع صوت.
دخلتوا لحد ما بطلتوا تسمعوا صوت؟
ما سمعناش صوت ساعتها. بعدين جه الجيش علينا. اشتبكنا مع الجيش.
يعني بطلتوا تسمعوا صوت معناته ايش شو صار؟
ماتوا. بعدين اجى الجيش واشتبكنا معه. اشتبكنا تقريبا مع 15 دقائق بعدين سلمنا حالنا دخلنا من الشبابيك رمينا قنبلة على الجيش على الباب. ما صار المهم رمينا قنبلة وطلع بعد 10 دقائق سلمنا حالنا.
بدي اسألك سؤال. قتل الأولاد هذا شيء معقول حسب الدين الإسلامي؟
لا.
شو بيقول النبي محمد هذا الشعب؟
صراحة ما لهمش دعوة ولا صراحة.
أنا بسألك سؤال أنتوا دخلتوا عشان تقتلوا بأمر من حماس. شو الفرق بينكم وبين داعش؟
الأمور الفرعونية ما حد يقول فرق فيش فرق بالمرة. الأمور الفرعونية شوف فيديوهات أنا أمر من داعش فرعونية المحاكي.
أبوك أمك كونوا فخورين بالفعل زي هيك؟
أنا أهلي بعرفش من حماس. أهلي بعرفش أبويا اللي قالت لي يشوفني اللي يطفني. لا يقتلني أبويا يشوف.
ليش؟
عشان عملت الأمرين هذا.
Again, I just found that something that was worth sharing, getting a little wider audience on. That comes from Israeli Defense Forces. Rescue worker grabs this woman's face and tells her to shut up. She sees the journalist camera and screams, "This all happened because of those Hamas dogs," in regards to her relative that is laying there, body of her son, killed in an airstrike. Interesting information here, military-wise, Navy-wise primarily. The Bataan, which is the MEU, that's the Marine Corps Expeditionary Unit, the 26th MEU. This is their last known location as of November 1, 832Z. The Gerald R. Ford, again, was back up here near Cyprus, again on November 1, so that was yesterday. and the Eisenhower is still back here, which is something of interest to me because I projected it would be in the off the coast of Iran by now, but the Eisenhower's basically stopped. It is barely moved in the last 2 days, so I don't know if they're leaving it there so that it can go one direction or another. If it's going to head towards, if it's going to head towards Iran, it's going to have to come down here and go through the Suez Canal. And if it's going to just back up the ford, it will be doing so right back here. So we'll keep an eye on that. All right. This is a new Hamas video. Ghazi Hamad says they will repeat October 7 like strikes until Israel is annihilated. We must teach Israel a lesson, and we will do it. The Allah's flood is just the first time, and there will be a second and a third because we have the determination and the resolve. So that's one reason that we're on here tonight, as I said. And everyone feel free to enjoy the chat. I can't really see it because I'm working through my phone tonight. Do what?
Do you need to read it to you?
Yes. Hamas Gaza says they will repeat October 7th. Again, 2, 3, 4 times, he says, until the annihilation of Egypt, or I'm sorry, the annihilation of Israel. So the situation basically, as declared by officials on both sides, is both sides want to annihilate the other. Israel wants to annihilate the Palestinians, while some will disclaim that, and the Palestinians want to annihilate Israel. Now, on his way to D.C. to join his fellow mayors to talk with federal partners about the asylum seeker crisis, Mayor Eric Adams had to fly back to New York City. So not exactly sure what that was about. He suddenly canceled his D.C. trip, rushed back to NYC after posted the video below, and that came in 13 hours ago. This is breaking Hamas footage, and it shows an armed drone strike on a large group of Israeli Defense Forces in Gaza. One of the live feeds I watch, he's off the air now, but one of the live feeds I've been watching, I started watching him when he was in Ukraine, and then he relocated to just outside of Gaza, and I've been watching him. Security forces came up and told him he needed to move because they were in a potential drone strike area, and the Hamas drones potentially crossing over the border and into not very deep into the territory because he's pretty close to the border. But anyway, he moved to a different location, and he is safe. Again, that was Hamas footage showing a drone strike, allegedly. This 18 hours ago, Pentagon has deployed a massive number of military planes above U.S. airspace. Quote, I've never seen anything like this. U.S. military aircraft in the sky at once. Something big is happening. This is what was going on last night. And these are not commercial planes. These are all all military planes. And it's incredibly odd to have them up. And if you look where they're at, they're over key areas in Texas, along the Gulf Coast, Washington, D.C. area, out here where some of the more strategic air bases are located, let's say, and it's just it's one of those anomalies that we look for. Um, Halloween's not long ago. It's I haven't showed this, but this was captured on Halloween, and just a reminder that some people can be really ignorant and bad examples and greedy bastages. Um, Again, just saying. Let's see what we have next. It doesn't get any better. Israel has no right to self-defense because it is an occupying country. Russia's permanent representative to the UN, uh, Nebezhnaya, said during the 10th emergency special session. So basically, he's saying, let me drop it down just a little bit there. He's saying that because Israel is occupying Gaza, that they have no right to self-defense. So, in other words, anything that's done to Israel is deserved. Hezbollah is claiming to have targeted Israeli headquarters and barracks on the border with northern Israel using 2 kamikaze attack drones. And this would be the first time that Hezbollah has used attack drones since the war began on October 7th. And this comes in 12 hours ago. Voted on last night here in the United States, U.S. House of Representatives adopted 2 non-binding resolutions. One resolution adopted declared a nuclear Islamic Republic of Iran is not acceptable and urges the U.S. to use all means necessary to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. So we are going to be going to war with Iran. And Chris will be on tomorrow night, and we'll be talking about the impact of that and how it potentially could play into our lives over here, primarily through oil. Another adopted by voice vote would urge the European Union to designate Hezbollah as a terrorist organization and increase pressure on the group by freezing its assets and arresting its supporters. If you've listened to Chris and I in the past, over the past few weeks, we've been talking about this, that Europe does not want they do not want a Muslim conflict at the moment inside their borders, politically or directly. And they're not going to be following along with this. Germany maybe, but we'll see how resolute they actually are. But don't look for that to happen from the European Union. Hezbollah, of course, is the legitimately elected government of Lebanon. Two sources tell Middle East Eye that Hamas didn't plan to take more than 20 or 30 hostages. Here you see them coming in on one of the paragliders, as I talked about. One of them driving the paraglider while the other one is shooting at people as they come through the air. Didn't have any contingency plan. Further steps weren't thought out, and we'll talk to Chris about that tomorrow night as well. National Intelligence Service of South Korea briefed lawmakers evidence they have received which shows North Korea leader Kim Jong-un has orders for officials to begin providing support to the Palestinians in Israel and to begin looking into the possibility of weapon shipments to Iran-backed militias across the Middle East. Again, this is North Korea getting involved. So when we talk about the potential for a world war, and we talk about battle lines being drawn, and we're talking about allegiances, it's all lining up, it's all playing out. North Korean military's provided weapons, including anti-tank missiles, to Hamas before. This would be the first time it's claimed to have been done in recent years. So, and I said that Hamas had thanked North Korea for their assistance. Israel's discussing the possibility of allowing the leaders of the Hamas movement, including the militia wing, to leave the Gaza Strip freely in exchange for the release of all hostages, as this would allow the war to end in a short time, and at the same time allow the goals to be met. So apparently, and I haven't been able, this is the only source I've gotten on this one. I have not been able to get a verified second source on this, but it's interesting. The report is that Israel's discussing the possibility of allowing the leaders of the Hamas movement, the leaders of the movement, including the leaders of the militant wing, to leave the Gaza Strip. So basically cutting off the heads of the snakes at respective levels, metaphorically, and so that everyone else would, not be radicalized anymore, as if that was how it would work, in exchange for release of all the hostages. In my opinion, what would happen, the war would end, probably, yes, and in a short time there would be new leaders of the radicals that still existed inside of Gaza. But again, we'll talk with Chris tomorrow night. Join us at 9 p.m. for our World Situation Report. Commander 162nd Armored Division, also known as the Steel Formation of the IDF Brigade, Brigadier General Itzik Cohen, has released a statement today in which he stated that the forces of the division are now deep inside of Gaza Strip and have arrived at the gates of Gaza City. We've actually got reports that they are in Gaza City. This is from Russia. I'm not going to show the guy's whole conversation, but he says, do you mean that all Jews should be expelled from Russia now? And he says, all of them. And the guy says, what have the Jews done to you personally? And he says, watch it on TV. Jews do really bad things. So, again, the propaganda, and this is within Russia, and again, getting back to those battle lines. Now, Wagner may send air defense weapons to Hezbollah, according to the Wall Street Journal. Wagner, of course, a Russian affiliate. Saudi Arabia has given the green light, the go-ahead for the deployment of U.S. air defense systems in the country to protect Israel from outside attacks. Saudi Arabia's Minister of Defense has confirmed parties discuss the situation in the Middle East. Additional air defense systems will be deployed in Saudi Arabia if necessary. So the pieces are moving into place. I don't understand this, and again, we'll talk with Chris tomorrow night. I want to make sure that this doesn't get interrupted. Israel police attacks on Jewish people in Jerusalem are getting increasingly worse, steadily worse. And this was from earlier today. The only thing I can say about this is this video definitely shows us that there is a difference between being Jewish, being Israeli, being Jewish, being Israeli, and being Zionist, okay? Those things are not, they're not always synonymous with each other, as we'll see here in this clip, and hopefully with the volume. Watch that again. Okay. You'll see the cop takes his right foot and hits the guy behind the back of his leg and pushes him over, tripping him, taking him off balance. The Hasidic Jew, and then the altercation was on as we have watched. We'll watch it one more time here. Hold on. Why is this not working? Okay, there we go. We'll just get out of it that way. All right. Again, to me, it definitely shows the difference between a Zionist, or that there are differences between a Zionist and Israeli, and a Jew. That one person may be all three, but chances are they're not. And again, we'll talk with Chris more about that tomorrow night. We're on here tonight primarily because there had been warnings that if Israel did not stop the war by dawn, which is coming up here in about 6 minutes, that the axis of resistance, which is basically Syria, the Iraqi Shiite militia, the Houthis in Yemen, and I don't remember who else, but other actors would get involved, and it's going to be, we're watching to see if it's going to be literally at dawn there is an invasion, or there is a massive attack, or if it's metaphorically and that was the drop dead line and it doesn't matter what happens next. What we're seeing here is venue being prepared for Nasrallah's speech, which will be coming up. Actually, I believe it is noon their time tomorrow, so that will be coming up about between 3 in the morning. I think it's going to be about 3:30 in the morning once it all happens. I don't know if I'll be up or not. If I am, I'll at least record it if I don't stream it. So you can always hit the like button and share and subscribe and all that. So you'll know when we're on because I hop on. But one thing, we will be on tomorrow night at 9 p.m. That's guaranteed. So a massive, fairly massive venue set up for a speech that if a dawn attack does not trigger other dominoes to fall in Muslim involvement, then this speech probably will trigger such. Israeli Defense Forces tell us that Iran's Imam Hussein militia deployed in southern Lebanon, and they're there to assist Hezbollah. Militia forces already taking part in attacks on the Israeli army. So one of Iran's militia is already in southern Lebanon. And the result of some of those attacks across the border, this is the Israeli city of Kiryat Shimona, and Hezbollah rockets have impacted, damage to buildings and cars. Came in 11 hours ago. Jordan intercepted a drone coming from Syrian territory, which is interesting. We don't often talk about Jordan other than questioning why isn't Jordan more involved, being right on the eastern border of Israel. U.S. intelligence officials told CNN today they currently believe Iran and Iranian-backed groups like Hezbollah are holding back their attacks against the United States and Israel in order to avoid a major regional war, which Iran knows would cause devastation. I think that's BS. Uh, I really do. I think that's a United States provocation. The United States are saying, well, they're not really going to do it. They're holding back. They're not, they're not really going to do anything. Trying to push them into doing something, and you really don't have to push them into doing something. It's coming, and you may regret pushing them into it. That's my personal opinion, okay? But they're not, obviously, I just read the story that Iran-backed militia are already involved in Lebanon. So they're not holding back, and you saw the pictures of the rockets across the border. They're not holding back. It's just a mass attack. Hasn't happened yet. Germany's chancellor announced plans to deport on a grand scale, quote unquote. The leader, Friedrich Merz, has accused Berlin neighborhoods of not being adequately German and has demanded new immigrants to Germany declare their allegiance to Israel. So, I found that a really unusual twist. Gaza City defense lines have been collapsing. This comes in 4 hours ago. Israeli Defense Force may be able to reach the city center within hours as they move closer to leadership hideouts. Hyena is trying urgently to flee to Iran, and again, one of the possible discussions was allowing the Hamas leaders to get out of Gaza in exchange for all the hostages. So we'll see how all of this plays out. I don't know how much stock I personally am going to put into that. CNN, the U.S. has intelligence that Syrian President Assad has agreed to supply Hezbollah with a Russian-made SA-22 surface-to-air missile system, and that Wagner has been tasked with making the delivery. Again, we talked earlier about Wagner itself delivering some equipment to Hezbollah and Hamas. And again, this is going to Hezbollah, so this is going to Lebanon. It's not going to Gaza. Wagner tasked with the delivery. It's not clear whether the delivery has been made or when it's expected to be made. It's been made, I would venture to say. Now, to our South America, we often overlook this. We should not be overlooking South America. Venezuelan criminal group called Los Al-Qaeda threatened to kill Peruvians who target Venezuelans in Lima, Peru. 370 military aircraft. I showed you earlier how many were up last night, 18 hours ago. Now, this was 7 hours ago at 1930. 370 military aircraft visible. So there are probably those that do not have their transponders on, so they're not showing up. But again, something's going on. An awful lot of military aircraft activity over the last 2 nights. U.S. House passed a $14.3 billion Israeli emergency aid bill. What this means is this bill will now go to the Senate for the Senate's consideration. It doesn't mean it's passed. It doesn't mean that money gets sent to Israel right away. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means it's made its way out of the House. And 12 Democrats voted for the bill. 2 Republicans voted against it, 226 to 196. we've talked about this. Came in at 8 hours ago. We showed this the past few nights. We showed you samples of this where we're showing the incursion and the land occupation that is going on by the Israeli Defense Forces. They're actually occupying all of the land in blue. And as you can see, they have gone indeed to the shore. You can see it here on this map as well. But and then they've made a bigger incursion from the north, again coming along the shore. They're going to cut this part of Gaza off, occupy this territory, kill as many people of fighting age as possible in this region. Once they have secured this region, they'll move to the southern part of Gaza. That is the plans at the moment, and they are well on their way to executing it. Again, that came in 8 hours ago. So 11:41. Let's flip back over to the cams. Dawn is breaking, and here we go. Pop it up there just a little bit so we get this Gaza City view. If anything happens on the view from Ashkelon or the view from Serdot, which I have in the bottom half here. If either one of those, anything happens from those views that we're not seeing in this top view, I'll make sure and move it down. But I'm going to be monitoring here. I'm going to mute for a few minutes because I need to check on the other computer and check and see if anything's going on at the Lebanon border. And if you happen to hear something, if you get a notification of something that's going on at the Lebanon border, if you hear that something's going on incoming towards Israel, anything at all, since I've got stuff I'm using to do this stream right at the moment that I'd normally be using for monitoring. So my monitoring is going to be limited as to what's going on, but it is dawn. Okay, it's a unique looking sky. This is what I've been told is okay. We can see smoke here. Oh, we can see smoke here in the distance from a fire that's back in this area, and it's smoke's traveling all this way. This is the coastline over here, and morning ocean fog is not uncommon at all. But a lot of this is just leftover smoke from incoming munitions and a massive amount of smoke being deployed by the Israeli army, the Israeli Defense Forces. So I'm going to take a small pause here. I'm going to mute myself for just a couple of moments, and I'll be back in like minute and a half, 2 minutes. Okay, it appears, from what I'm seeing anyway, that it's not it's not a literal time, and coordinated attacks, of course, would go off at set times. That's why they're coordinated. So sometimes dawn is. We'll talk again with Chris tomorrow night. Sometimes pre-dawn and pre-dusk are times to launch attacks and or counteroffenses, whatever. And again, we'll talk with Chris tomorrow night on World Situation Report, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, thank you all for clicking on, for tuning in. Um, and we've got a live image of Gaza City. I'm not in Gaza City. I'm restreaming a live shot of Gaza City as dawn is breaking. We're on because, well, I had a lot of information to share in the first part of this, which we have done. And if you haven't seen it, go back and watch that, because there are things that you need to know about. And the way we do this channel, we show you information, and generally I show you the information, and sometimes I read it and you don't see the sources, but most of the time I'm bringing the receipts so you know where things come from, and give you things to think about and let you make your own choices, let you make your own decisions. Don't tell you what to think or how to think. Again, just, give you some things to think about. One of the things was there was an alleged declaration that if Israel did not stop the war by dawn today, dawn today, their time, of course, then there would be immediate involvement by the axis of resistance. And I questioned whether that meant literal involvement. But at the same time, we're not seeing a lot of fire on Gaza City. And a couple of reasons, possibly because there are ground troops. Gaza City is surrounded. There are ground troops within Gaza City, and again, probably at the center of Gaza City. By now, I can't confirm that. And you're not going to drop strikes. You're not going to drop bomb strikes where your troops are. So maybe that's why we're not seeing a lot of activity in Gaza City. I don't think it's because Israel has decided to stop the war. That would be nice. It would be a huge relief, a great tweaking of the pressure valve to exhaust some of the mounting pressure that is worldwide because of this conflict. And without this conflict worldwide, we were not in the most ideal of situations before all this happened. And now, what is going on between Israel and Hamas, the people of Palestine? What's going on is it just exacerbated things to a whole different level all around the world. Let me make sure I've got this live. I do. Okay, there we go. And I think all we're going to hear is a drone monitoring above, but we'll see here. Hang on. Let me see if I can get us some volume. Occasional small arms fire, occasional rooster. the sounds of Gaza shortly after dawn on Friday, the Muslim holy day. So while activity is not visible on camera, you can, with audio, you can hear that activity is ongoing. And again, within audio range of the camera location that we're watching. I had a question the other night when I showed a little bit of footage that, how are these cameras, how are they operating if there's no power in Gaza? This is all fake, yada, yada, yada. And I was told this one was this is a solar camera that operates 24 hours a day. And I've watched it just about every hour. There have been a few hours in the middle of the night, early morning that I haven't seen this stream, but most of the time I have. And it's a pretty good angle of Gaza. And earlier it was intense earlier when it was dark. A lot of flares, a lot of incoming, a lot of explosions, a lot of noise. Again, you just heard a little blast of, I would, 50 caliber machine gun fire, chances are, is what we were hearing. That's really not technically small arms fire, but compared to the bombs and the bombs being dropped by both drones and aircraft and missiles being both launched from the surface and from the air, 50 caliber is rather small caliber in comparison, but it's not technically small arms fire. So, and thanks to those that emailed and corrected that. And if you want to email, it's American Doofus, AMERICAN DUFUS, all one word, at gmail.com. And that was a pretty loud blast. Pew! Sounded like that might have been an outgoing. If you'd like to help support the channel, Cash App, $ American Doofus, again, AMERICAN DUFUS, not DOO, DUFUS. And you can help support the show with a small donation. That's always greatly appreciated, but not necessary. But always greatly appreciated. And thank you all for clicking on. Tomorrow night, Chris and I will be on at 9 p.m. Chris is our counterterrorism and military expert, and been all around the world, and has a background with both the Israelis and the Muslims, not necessarily the Palestinian people directly, but with many in the Muslim community. So, and again, his background is military and counterterrorism and policing. And we have, we both have some contacts and we both have some information that together we cover an awful lot of bases on what's going on around the world, especially in places he's been to and he's very familiar with, which just so happens to be right now the Middle East. And so I hope you'll join us coming up. I guess now it's tonight officially, or not quite officially yet, but join us Friday night, Eastern Daylight Time, 9 p.m., right here on this channel. And I'll have a lot more information, and Chris and I will have a stimulating conversation. And I'll try to keep an eye on the chat because I'll be on the laptop and not on the phone, and be able to do a better job at chat. And feel free to keep the chat going, by the way. I'm not signing off or anything. I'm going to stay on for a little bit longer anyway, just to see. Because that was pretty loud. Those, I believe, are outgoing missiles being fired from Gaza City, is what we're hearing. We're not seeing them because I think it's happening right behind where the camera's at. Now, everybody automatically thought the drones were Israeli drones. Most of them are. Hamas does have drones, as we showed earlier in this episode. They released footage from their official site of dropping a bomb from an AUV, an unmanned aerial vehicle, a UAV, unmanned aerial vehicle, and onto a cluster of Israeli Defense Forces. And again, that's what the guy, one of the streamers, the streamer that I'm talking about, is off the air now. He's sleeping. But he was told to move, and shortly after he moved, they lit up the place where he had been broadcasting from. So it was a smart call. And again, we were watching. If you're just joining us, we're watching live multicam. This is looking at Gaza City, and this is looking, I believe, from the north of Gaza City towards the south of towards southern Gaza. We came on because dawn had been a deadline that if Israel did not stop the war, then there would be immediate joining by the axis of resistance. Which, how many does that mean? And they're talking about doing exactly or similar to what happened October 7th, multiple times again and again and again until Israel, quote unquote, learns its lesson. So that's the setup for why we are on tonight, and the situation that we are monitoring. Thus far, I do not have any reports of any incursions in the north over the Lebanese border by Hezbollah or by Iranian-backed troops, and thus far no missile fire or drone reports. But it's just a few minutes after dawn, and if those things did occur at dawn, I probably would know about them for at least a few minutes. So that's why we're going to stay on for a bit. So that's just a brief update of where we're at, and what we're doing, and why we are on. And a reminder, we'll be on tomorrow night as well at 9 p.m. with our regular Monday, Wednesday, Friday show. Going to mute myself again for a few minutes. Feel free to chat. Be nice to each other. As you can see with everything we talked about in our scroll earlier in the episode, it's fairly dark in our world. I'll be back in just a few minutes. Again, if you're just joining us, thanks for clicking on. What you're hearing is the ambient noises of Gaza City shortly after dawn. Sunrise coming up here very soon. And you're hearing the birds, the roosters, and the drones overhead, and the occasional both outgoing munitions and incoming fire. Again, if you're just clicking on, thanks for joining. We are monitoring Gaza City shortly after dawn. I just got word that the speech from Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah, that we showed earlier, we showed the preparation for the speech, the setup of the venue where the speech is going to happen. Did not have the location of that speech, of course, and the time has been of question as well. Is the reason I broke back in here real quick. I've been told that noon, so about 6 hours from now, is when that speech will happen. We're on at the moment because an ultimatum had been given that if the war by Israel did not, if Israel did not stop, that at dawn, the resistance would join, and it is indeed dawn in Gaza City. Sun is just about to rise if it hasn't already officially risen. When I shut my yapper, you'll be hearing just the ambient noises of Gaza City: birds, an occasional rooster, an occasional outgoing rocket, and an occasional incoming artillery or rocket fire, and an occasional 50 caliber. So I'm going to actually mute myself this time instead of just sit here quietly. No, I'm not, because you won't be able to hear. Um, I'll leave it unmuted so you can hear the ambient noises, and be back in just a few seconds. It sounds like a jet's coming in. Again, if you're just joining us, thanks for clicking on. You can see back here in the background smoke coming up from, okay, we are looking, the sun's coming up over here. This will be the east. So the ocean, actually, the sea will be back over this direction. We're looking from the south to the north. And so this is smoke from northern Gaza. And all night long, Israeli Defense Forces have been hammering northern Gaza. They've encircled Gaza City all the way to the coastline, and are making their way down, cutting Gaza in half. Basically, is what they've effectively done at the moment, and began the occupation, as we showed earlier in the episode. So that's the angle you are looking at the moment. Again, you're hearing 50 caliber fire, an occasional really loud boom, and we're going to stay on and monitor for a while. Feel free to chat if you're in the YouTube. If you're on the YouTube platform, you'll be able to chat. So feel free to do so if you wish. And otherwise, again, just if you are chatting, be nice to each other, because I'm on the phone. I'm doing this from my phone, so I can't really see what's going on chat-wise. So y'all be cool, and we'll keep this up for a while. Again, just to see what may happen at the border between Lebanon and Israel. Of course, north of the Israeli border is Lebanon, controlled by Hezbollah, supposedly Hezbollah controlled by Iran, supposedly Iran controlled by Russia, Russia supposedly controlled by China, and that's a lot of potential enemies to line up against with just the United States and Israel. But that's how it appears to be stacking up, at least at the moment. Those must be on the lens of the camera. I thought they might be on my screen. My apologies. I can't do anything about that. One thing that's missing and has been missing is the calls to prayer, which normally go out through the loudspeakers from the mosques. I noted the other night a really odd sequence of calls to prayer. Sorry, loud explosions. Again, assuming south of the camera, which is looking north, but they might be coming down up here as we see new smoke coming up. But the calls to prayer have been silent there have been no calls to prayer, at least as I've been monitoring, and I've got a pretty good idea when they normally are. So the calls to prayer have been silenced, and I think it has something to do with the other night we were monitoring, and they did like a 40-minute, 3 separate calls to prayer over a 40-minute period, and so we think they might have been trying to pass send some information along, and those calls to prayer have been silenced. What you're looking at is Gaza City shortly after sunrise. You can hear the emergency vehicles. Again, a massive explosion just a few moments ago. We're going to assume that the emergency vehicles are in response to that explosion, a potential Israeli airstrike. And the reason we are on at this time is because an ultimatum was given that at dawn, the axis of resistance would immediately engage in fighting against Israel. So I didn't know if that was a metaphor or if that was a literal, at dawn it's going to happen. Thus far, nothing out of the ordinary is happening. This happens every single day and every single night in Gaza for the past few days. Nonstop 50 caliber fire, tank fire, artillery fire, missile drops, bomb drops, and then outgoing missiles and rockets, and it's just the destruction. We're not seeing it from this angle, but the destruction up here in the northern part of Gaza, the northern sector of Gaza, and again, we're only talking about a 20-mile sector, so The devastation up here has been massive. If you're just joining us, what you're listening to are the sounds of modern warfare. Drones overhead, fighting in the streets between conventional military and unconventional resistance. Israeli Defense Forces being the conventional military, Hamas being the unconventional resistance. Both sides have said they want the total annihilation of the other side and will not be content until that happens. That's how we got to where we are, and that's why it's hard to see an end in sight. Thanks for clicking on. If you're not a subscriber, consider hitting the subscribe button. It doesn't cost anything. Same thing with that like button. We'll be on tomorrow night starting at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. World Situation Report. And we're going to be on here a little bit longer as seems activity might be picking up. Well, something's happening to make the birds fly. Drones approaching, it sounds like, possibly. You can see numerous points of smoke rising in the distance as northern Gaza has again just been hammered all throughout the night. The other stream we were watching before he went off was from that location near Sirdat, or I'm sorry, Sidrot. I think that's how SD. Let's see, SDEROT, Sidrot, Sirdat. Apologies. So we're at the other end now. Reports that attacks would be launched at dawn, possibly from all around all sides of Israel being attacked at dawn. That thus far appears not to have happened. A speech coming up by the leader of Hezbollah at reports are now that it's going to be at noon their time, which would be 6 a.m. roughly our time. So by the time everybody wakes up tomorrow, we will know the plans, more than likely what Hezbollah intends to do or is in the act of doing, which I thought might be the case. I thought they might launch the attack and then the speech would be to rally additional forces, so to speak. So, but that thus far, I don't have information that's happened. That doesn't mean it hasn't happened around the northern border or even attacks to the south from the Houthis in Yemen. Just I don't have reports on those at this time. So we'll continue monitoring and listen to the sounds once again. The sounds of modern war. The drones just droning on in the skies, and the various sundry different types of weapons of death that we can audibly hear. Another massive strike. Okay, I'm going to jump away from this for just a few moments. I got something else I want to show here real quick. This is another streamer, actually another content creator. Habitual Line Crosser is his name. He's generally a really funny dude. He is active military, and this message is one of his more serious, if not the most serious, from him. And let me get him turned up here, and we'll listen in.
That's what we're seeing. We're seeing hundreds of rockets get thrown in all directions, and a lot of them are hitting civilian infrastructure. All right, guys, I do want to talk about this Israel situation. I don't think I'll do a country video yet because the situation is still unfolding. Right now, some big questions. First one is, don't they have air defense systems? Yes, Israel has David Sling, Iron Dome, Arrow. There's a couple other ones I don't know about, and these are very, very good air defense systems. But what we're seeing here is a complex saturation attack. Every air defense system in the world has a finite number of things in the air that it can hit at any given time. Keep in mind, when things fly further, you have a lot more time to engage these things. When you have short-range, unguided rockets, you have a lot less time. Number two is the priority of assets. Every country in the world, to include Poland and the United States, has a finite number of air defense systems, and they do not have enough to protect every inch of their land. It's physically impossible. So what you do is you prioritize them around things that are important, around military bases, infrastructure, things like that. So what happens is ultimately you won't have enough air defense systems to protect a lot of those civilian areas. They're going to rain down on houses, they're going to rain down on shops, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. So that's what we're seeing. We're seeing hundreds of rockets get thrown in all directions, and a lot of them are hitting civilian.
Okay, so that's again, that's coming from active military, habitual line crosser, the name of the site. I also want to point out something here real quick. Sanctions against the Myanmar oil and gas enterprise are concerted pressures with partners. Where does this come from? This comes from the United States Department of State. It came out today. United States imposing targeted sanctions on Myanmar, Burma. So the sanctions are over oil and gas. As there are countries trying to control the United States through oil and gas, we also are trying to control other countries through their oil and gas. And before we jump back over to the live cams, this is the latest map showing where the Israeli forces are now occupying, and you can see that in central Gaza, they basically have cut the country in half. This is the advancement line. This is where they were. They've advanced all the way to the coast now. Gaza City is this big area right here, starting right here in the center. All of this is Gaza City, a mass amount of people. And as you can see, they're coming in from two sections of the north, from the northeast and from the northwest, coming down the coast on the northwest and coming across the top from the northeast. So they will basically encircle Gaza City. Reports are they already have that done, and they will occupy this entire region of Gaza, northern Gaza, and then move and occupy the entire southern region of Gaza if all goes according to their plans. So that's where we stand right now, and we'll get back over here again. We'll get back over here to what's happening in. Hold on, let me get steady here so we can focus. What's happening over here in Gaza City? And let me get our sound back up. There we go. Shortly after sunrise, looking over Gaza City, looking from the south to the north. And the center of Gaza City is going to be back in this area, probably right in here from where the camera's positioned. So they are working their way this way, from up here this way, and from behind the camera directly across as well towards the ocean. And I've already cut the strip of land known as Gaza, cut it in half. If you're just joining us, thanks for clicking on Overlooking Gaza City. The noises of the drones constant in the skies. The sounds of the various, you hear small arms fire, relatively small arms anyway. Occasional major blast coming in, such as right there. And I would think the psychological impact of this going on day and night, day and night, day and night, you're not going to be able to sleep. You're always going to be tense and anxious, and it's just I can only imagine it would be like you're there just waiting for the next bomb to drop, and will that bomb drop where I happen to be? Sounds like aircraft coming in. The jets will come in, and then we will probably hear a couple of loud explosions afterwards. So that's what it sounds like is coming. The only time you really don't hear the drones is when the jets are coming in and they drown them out. So just from the audio, you can get a good idea of the intensity of the fighting that's ongoing. for those that don't know, the Israeli Defense Forces hit the same refugee camp, the Jabalah refugee camp. They hit it a second time, 2 days in a row, with multiple bombs, killing multiple people on the second day, supposedly because, again, terrorists were hiding among the civilians. The reasoning behind the bombings. Also monitoring a camera showing Ashkelon and showing Sderot, just in case those cities are attacked. They are the two closest towns to the Gaza border, two closest major Israeli towns. And thus far, what we can see, there's been no mass incursion across the border of Lebanon and Israel, at least none that we've seen. And the reports were dawn was going to be was the last time Israel had to stop the war by dawn, and obviously it hasn't stopped, as we can hear. I don't know if you can tell or not, but the camera is jumping. Hear trash being cleaned up in the background as life goes on. Okay, I'm going to be on here for just a couple of more minutes. I will be monitoring for a while yet tonight, and then we'll see what happens with the speech from the leader of Hezbollah tomorrow, about a little over 5.5, or a little under 5.5 hours from now. As an anticipated major response from the axis of resistance, as they are calling themselves, a large response is anticipated at some point targeting Israel by numerous Muslim factions, including the Houthis in Yemen, Hamas, of course, in Gaza. That was somebody bumping something near the camera. Hezbollah in Lebanon, part of the axis of resistance. Syria, part of the axis of resistance. And the Shiite resistance in Iraq, southern Iraqi militia. So basically all sides of Israel potentially open to possible attacks, primarily, we believe, financed by Iran. But also that's what our U.S. government is telling us. We're not so sure if some of the financing might be coming from some other sources, including some of our potential allies, as Chris and I have discussed and will continue to discuss. Major blast there. Been watching for a while. You heard the roosters earlier, just as dawn was breaking. They've quieted now, and when there is not incoming or outgoing fire, you're hearing birds in the background and a constant drone from the drones, the UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles. The ones you're hearing are observation drones. Those are used for targeting primarily and intelligence gathering. And then there are those that are armed UAVs that actually deploy munitions. They're termed loitering because they can stay in the air and wait until a target is definitely acquired before sending their payload down. Speaking of which, sounded like a major impact, significant impact at the minimum. Another significant impact, obviously. And we're hearing significant incoming impacts about every 3 to 4 minutes. Here comes another jet. We'll hear a relatively big explosion after this. Again, the only time you really don't hear the drones is when the jets are coming in, and it sounds like they're coming in. I was wrong. All right, everybody. I'm going to sign off here, at least for a while. I'm going to keep monitoring. If there are developments that I'm not aware of at this time, I'll hop back on here and come back live. I'll probably be on at some point tomorrow during the day, briefly, even if it's a brief recorded 5-minute recorded episode, just talking about what the Hezbollah leader says. As soon as we get that information, we'll get that out to you, and we'll be on tomorrow night at 9 o'clock with the World Situation Report, which we do every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 p.m. Information you're probably not going to hear anywhere else. So hit the subscribe if you would, smash that like button. And if you are a subscriber, hit the notification so you know when we're on. If you'd like to help support the show, American Doofus, Cash App is $AmericanDufus, American Doofus. If you'd like to email me, americandoofus@gmail.com. Again, all one word, AMERICAN. It's DUFUS@gmail.com. And this is Doofus After Dark. And we will be on again tomorrow night at 9. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for hanging in there, hanging out with me. Always greatly appreciated. I apologize for not being able to see everybody in the chat, but when the chat messages came up, they were all jumbled and garbled for some reason. So I'm not sure why I wasn't able to see what y'all are saying, but I thank y'all for being there. And I think if you're not in the chat, I thank you as well. If you're watching at a different time other than the live, thank you very much for taking the time to view this. And we will see you again very soon. I'll be back on sometime coming up here in either in just a few short hours or after a decent little sleep. And we'll see how things play out. Thank you again. Be well, be blessed, be safe. Love you all. Namaste. Shalom. Shalom. Assalamu alaikum. Blessings be upon you from the one true living God, the Most High, if you so desire those blessings. Otherwise, let's all try to send out some positive vibrations. And as we are hearing the sounds of war, let's not forget to try to radiate peace, because it is indeed a very dark world. Try to be a light, please. We all need to do that. Love y'all. Like chocolate chip cookies. Dark world, try to be a light.